Ready Talk Radio. Yes, you can give us a call at 704-593-6682. And I am your host as always. You made it. Hey, let's go. SMJ Songwriter. Give us a call at the radio show and chime in on your thoughts. So we're going to jump back into it. And here I have the reports in. And the topic for tonight is, what do you think about Daniel chapter 12 verses 1 through 1-2, which is verse 11 and verse 12. I like to start by saying, keep an open mind to everybody's opinion, a difference of opinion. Keep that in mind, that we do not all have the same religion. We don't all have the same background, cultural background, or we don't all have the same worldview, depending on where you live in the United States and in the continental, international, which is Canada and Mexico, or abroad, even in Hindu Kush. So the other part of this is, what is the temple? So the total topic, what do you think about Daniel 12, 11 through 12? And what is the temple? We have a couple of reports that coincide with some of the things we're going to talk about. Number one, we're going to start off by saying that it is very imperative that we get down to this for us, for me and you. That is all that matters. We have to be heard. So that means we have to hear each other often. Right? All right. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he that waiteth, and cometh to the 1,305 and 30 days. So there's the verses. We know it talks about in Daniel that the abomination of desolation shall be set up in the temple. You can go check out the book of Matthew, I think it's chapter 25, and some verses where they talk about the abomination of desolation as the prophet Daniel spoke about. I believe that was Jesus who spoke that in Matthew chapter 25. If I'm wrong, chime in. You can always give us a call in. We'll love to hear your thoughts at the Ready Talk Radio podcast and show. The phone number for that will be 704-593-6682. So it came to the verse 12 time frame, which ended at a head of 1,335 days. So it said it will start, there should be 1,290 days, but if you can make it to the 1,335 days, I mean that right there seems like you made it. Time frame on this, we know we have an upcoming 2024 election. We know who's running, pretty much. We know that we had the time between Trump taking office, which is 2016, and leaving office. For whatever reasons, we know that 2020 to 2028 was the time frame of, in my view, that this was happening. Why we look at the first report, which is the report of back in 2014, 15, and 16, 5G in hospitals and other organizations were able to use that high frequency to deliver life-saving surgeries without having to use the scalpel. I never had a surgery, but one time it was small, minute surgery, but they even had a way to cut out whatever that needed to be cut out from my body. And I would like to say that, I mean, anybody who can have surgery done without being cut or anything, I mean, that's always a blessing, I would say. Now, I do want to note and point out that this has already came to a head, because at this time it's going on 2024. And in those days, they could already have tested this and used this, because by the time they started advertising this, and from the report 2014, 2016, commercials coming out, and they could just go ahead and have it on live TV, a commercial where they're showing a patient, they're reading his brain patterns, they can remove tumors, and they can fix things without having to actually go inside the human body. Now, what is the temple? Does that coincide, if you think about, is the temple in Jerusalem? Which temple are they talking about? If it was an actual temple, a building, and if it was an actual building, anyone, like enemies or whatever you want to call, Antichrist, evangelicals, Shia, Sunni Muslims, you name it. As soon as the abomination that makes desolate will be set up in the temple somewhere, a physical place, anybody could just tear that down when it happens. So it's like, well, it was a problem, but we squashed it. And I'm breaking this down to you like I would in the simplest form. Because Erykah Badu says her mind and body is her temple. Some doctors and scientists say it's the pineal gland. I was always under the impression that the temple is your mind, which is inside of your body, but it's your mind that connects to your soul. It's mind, body, and soul is your temple. You read the Bible or go to any church, you will hear that your body is supposed to be an open sacrifice, a willing sacrifice to God, and let Jesus in, and we know that the body is supposed to be the temple for God. However, everybody's got a difference of opinions, so please chime in on your thoughts. And this is between me and you. That could be a way of an enemy or something that is negative to get a hold of technologies like that and use them against somebody's free will, cognitive will, while they're wide awake, but something is mind hacking them. And then it wouldn't be so much of a blessing. You know, everybody doesn't have to go to the hospital or have any surgeries or any mental issues for that to happen. Ready Talk Radio, chime in with your thoughts at ReadyTalk Radio. We'd love to hear what you got to say. Also, it seems that, you know, for me, it seems for me that it's always something new, and we want to be cautious on how we interpret things, because like I say, everybody has a different background where they're coming from. And with that said, being cautious on how we interpret things, sometimes it could be a mind game, a trick of the enemy, or the devil, or whatever you want to call it, to try to get an interpretation of something that's not really real. And I do know that it happens a lot. Hey, you go to the store, you park somewhere, you come out, you go into where you park, you see a car just like yours, somebody's hopping in, first thing, that's that trick right there. You finna ready as hell, that's not your car, you remember where you parked at. So, certain things, but I'm not gonna get in depth to the shadow figures of the government or the shadow government or somebody's, a lot of things out here, just a lot of things new. But we also must know that it says that in the verse number 11 that the daily sacrifice should be taken away. Now, I'm not sure to what that could be, if it's already happened. And I'm trying to figure if I skipped over anything. And like I say, a lot of these reports, a lot of these things you can go on Google and find out, or research. I won't say find out, because that means it would be factual, evidential, and truthful in its context. You can go on YouTube and Google and Facebook and call around, try to find information about certain things like this, but we do know that it's a certain time frame between here and here, and we do know that this is the book of Daniel. Once we find out that it's something going on, they're mind hacking people, and could that be a way that they can predict with all these different algorithms and AI and the way that it could be used to openly get inside somebody's thought process and ultimately predict at an efficient enough rate to try to deceive even the elect, the chosen few, whatever you want to call them, bright ones, the stars, the artistic people, whatever you want to, free will, whatever. But to really predict that, you got to really think like that movie that came out where they were busting in people's homes and arresting them for crimes and acts that they could commit. Well, if I was to eat a Snickers at 2 o'clock in the morning, what if that was an act that was committed as a crime, to very, very, in a certain way, square off somebody to a point to where you can get them studied down to a T, and then you have all this other stuff working with you. To me, that sounds like it could be the desolation that is set up, the abomination that is set up in the temple. Chime in, let me know. I want to hear your thoughts right now. We have some other things going on to the works. Like I say, we got an election coming up. People are really choosing sides of how they want to live and what they want to do. And people who don't talk like this or don't have these kind of conversations and that sincere is the word I want to use. That's sincere about it. They will always try to find a way to trash it down. Well, I've had enough of that. I had enough of talking to people and wasting my breath, energy, and time on things that don't pertain to me, making it to that time frame. Whatever time frame is that. Whatever gift I got, whatever thing I got, anything I got doing, anything I'm doing. By this time, if I'd have started this process, I felt like a whole lot early on, I probably would have been a little bit better off. But for some reason, I went through that hero's journey, and here I ended up. So I got ReadyTalkRadio started, and now I could say, hey, I'm not afraid to talk about this stuff. Before I wasn't afraid. Before I was never afraid to talk about it, and we'll go to war about it. But since now I learned that this enemy, if it tries to trick your mind by mind raping you, some type we can outthink it, possibly outthink it. Ready Talk Radio. Yes, you can give us a call at 704-593-6682. And I am your host as always,